The day after a history-making day at the Tour de France, the day after a new record holder for the number of stages was taken, and a brand new green jersey was crowned, for the moment at least, the peloton got together in Mâcon and would head to Dijon for stage 6 of the Tour de France. Gaviria, Pedersen and the rest were hoping to try and challenge Cavendish and the other sprinters. Pedersen back on his bike after a crash, Cavendish celebrating becoming the sole record holder. Wout van Aert was promising to have a go. Where would the riders travel? Well, you'd think they'd be keen as mustard to get up the road. Dijon the destination after 163.5 kilometres. The wind, though, was blowing westerly for most of the day. That surely would make for a nervous day. Just 1,000 metres of climbing. On paper, a sprint stage, but one for the GC contenders to be very careful with. What a day for Girmay, Cavendish and the rest. Cavendish stage winner, Girmay in the green jersey for the first time. Pogačar, Evenepoel and company hoping to have a safe day without incident. And when the flag went, you wondered who would attack. We're getting rather used to not having breakaways on sprint stages at this tour, and today, mainly, it would be the case. For a little while at the start there was action. Jonas Abrahamsen tried to pick up the one single point on offer in the King of the Mountains competition. He did so, and he had local resident Axel Zengler with him. Zengler from Alsace, but resident in the region where we started. Up the road, but both deciding they wouldn't continue, and they were back in the peloton with 135 k's to go. Most of the action was on the side of the road until the intermediate sprint came. 20 points for Jasper Philipsen. A very good moment too for Biniam Girmay, who took a couple of points on the injured Pedersen. Teams were trying to split it in the wind, most notably Visma Lease bike. 80 k's to go, and that split occurred. Mechanical issues for Cavendish made sure that it would be a tough chase for him back on. And when the split went, Cavendish was a minute behind. All eyes though on the peloton and the composition of the groups, because anybody in the GC split here as the gap grew to around 30 seconds and there would be danger. Pogačar was in the front group. Most of his team, in fact the rest of his team, were in the back group. All was back together 10 kilometres later though. Cavendish was back too after an argument with the commissars. More nerves continued as they headed into the next crosswind section. Everybody fighting for narrow roads. A crash involving 2 or 3 different riders from Uno X. Harper caught out too, and the wind blowing from left to right again. Thankfully it was a soft landing into the barriers. 15 kilometres to go. Nerves building this time for the sprint. GC riders try to stay safe. Sprinters wanting more success. Astana Kazakhstan took it up at the front. Cavendish wanted to be in position for yet another stage win. So much energy expended by every single team keeping positions though. That washing machine effect was on maximum spin. Abrahamsen, King of the Mountains, was there to put Uno X into a top position. And they carried that position inside the final 2 kilometres. Then it was Magnus Kort's turn inside the final few hundred metres. Warenshaw was waiting. Christophe, the man who was going to sprint a day before his 37th birthday, but they would then lose position. Mathieu van der Poel and Alpecin de Koning making sure that they would put the power on. On the right-hand side, Philipsen was following. Van Aert was there as well, though. De Lee in great position, as was Dylan Groenewegen. Girmay was following too in the green jersey. Groenewegen though came out onto the far side. De Lee was through the centre. Girmay was there. The door was very much closed on Van Aert. Philipsen and Groenewegen came to the line. There was a look across at each other. But on the photo finish, it was around a quarter of a wheel, not even that, the margin of victory for Dylan Groenewegen, who won at the Tour de France 2 years and a day since his last victory. This time in the Dutch champions jersey, making the tour for Jaco Alula. Another sprint, more chaos. Nobody has the perfect lead out at this race. but it was Groenewegen who was there to survive that chaos and win stage 6. And it meant a heck of a lot to the team. All the talk about that nose mask, a cover, an aero edition, whatever it is. He was very much more Batman than Bruce Wayne after that. Delight for the teammates as well. Classified check with Groenewegen beating Philipsen, Girmay, Gaviria, Bauhaus, De Ligt, Van Aert, Dimar, Christoph and Ackermann. After the stage, it turned out that the juries deemed the closing of the door on Van Aert by Philipsen to be illegal. He was therefore relegated. And the Netherlands national jersey back on the podium at the Tour de France. Tadej Pogačar in charge of the general classification. No change in the top 10 going into the first of 2 time trials at this tour. A 45-second lead for Pogačar over Evenepoel will be one of the favourites for the time trial. In fact, it's a Burgundy wine trial from Nuit Saint-Georges, venue for a sprint stage a couple of years ago, all the way to Gevrey-Chambertin, that hosts a finish of the tour for the first time. 25.3 kilometres, just over 300 metres of climbing, most of which coming right in the middle of the parcours. The first of 2 time trials, the easier one on paper, but albeit always the race of truth. You can watch it live and on demand on Eurosport and Discovery Plus, the home of cycling.